The news of Robert Redford's death shook the world of cinema and beyond. For decades, his name carried weight not just in Hollywood but across the globe. Redford was not only a movie star, he was a storyteller, a cultural icon, a director, an activist, and a man who transformed the film industry in ways that few could ever match. His passing left behind a silence, but also a legacy that will echo through history. To understand what Robert Redford meant to Hollywood and to millions of fans, one has to look at the man's extraordinary life, his artistry, and his influence on the generations that followed him. Robert Redford was born in 1936 in Santa Monica, California. He came from humble beginnings, raised in a working-class family, and he did not initially set out to become a movie star. He studied art, worked various jobs, and even traveled through Europe before acting found him. But when he did find his way to the stage and eventually the screen, the world noticed. His early performances showed charisma and a raw authenticity that was rare in an era dominated by polished, manufactured Hollywood personas. Redford's natural presence set him apart. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, Robert Redford became one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood. His breakout roles in movies like Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid and The Sting cemented his place as a leading man. He brought something different to the screen. Redford's characters were often charming yet vulnerable, strong but layered with flaws. Audiences connected with him because he felt human even when he played larger-than-life roles. Hollywood at that time needed new voices and fresh faces, and Robert Redford became the embodiment of that change. One of his greatest strengths was his ability to shift between genres effortlessly. He could carry a Western, a political thriller, or a romantic drama, and every time he did, audiences followed. Films like All the President's Men captured the spirit of an era. In that film, Redford not only entertained but also reflected society's growing concern about truth, power, and accountability. His choices as an actor showed that he wanted to do more than just be a star. He wanted to tell meaningful stories. Now here is where things get even more interesting. Redford was never satisfied with just being in front of the camera. He was a man who constantly looked for ways to push the boundaries of storytelling. In the 1980s, he stepped into directing, and his debut film Ordinary People won the Academy Award for Best Picture. That achievement shocked many because it proved that Redford was not only a great actor but also a visionary filmmaker. The film's quiet power, its emotional depth, and its unflinching look at family trauma showed his ability to handle delicate subjects with grace. Ordinary People is still considered one of the greatest directorial debuts in American cinema, but his contribution to Hollywood was not limited to his acting and directing. Robert Redford understood the importance of nurturing new voices. In 1981, he founded the Sundance Institute, which later became the Sundance Film Festival. This was not just another film festival. Sundance became the most important platform for independent filmmakers in the world. It gave rise to talents like Quentin Tarantino, Steven Soderbergh, and many others who reshaped modern cinema. Redford created a space where small films with big ideas could shine away from the control of major studios. This single act forever changed Hollywood, proving that independent films could stand alongside blockbusters. The festival reflected Redford's own values. He believed in authenticity, diversity, and the idea that film could spark real conversation about life, politics, and culture. He gave filmmakers a chance who otherwise might have been overlooked. That is why his influence cannot be measured only in the films he acted in or directed. His influence is also in the countless filmmakers he inspired and supported. Without Sundance, modern cinema would not look the same. Robert Redford was also a man deeply connected to nature. He lived much of his life in Utah, surrounded by mountains and wide-open landscapes. His love for the environment was not just a personal passion, but a public mission. Redford became one of the strongest celebrity voices for environmental protection. He used his fame to fight for conservation, renewable energy, and climate awareness long before these topics became mainstream in Hollywood. He proved that an actor could also be an activist, and he did it with sincerity. His voice carried weight because it came from genuine concern, not from publicity. As he grew older, Redford never lost relevance. He continued acting in critically acclaimed films like The Horse Whisperer, The Company You Keep, and All Is Lost. The latter showed him alone, struggling for survival in the middle of the ocean, without dialogue for much of the film. His performance was raw, gripping, and a reminder of his unmatched talent. Even in his later years, he proved that he could carry a story with the same intensity as he did in his youth. Think about this for a moment. Very few actors manage to reinvent themselves across different decades. Robert Redford did it again and again. From the golden age of 1970s cinema to the rise of independent film in the 1990s, to the age of modern blockbusters, Redford found his place every time. That adaptability is what makes him legendary. He never clung to the past. He moved forward, embraced change, and helped shape it. When his death was announced, tributes poured in from all corners of the world. Fellow actors, directors, and politicians all spoke about the impact he had on them, personally and professionally. Younger generations who had never seen his early films still knew him as the man behind Sundance, the elder statesman of Hollywood who never stopped fighting for art and truth. His death was not just the loss of a star, but the loss of a guiding light. Robert Redford's legacy is more than his films. It is a blueprint for how an artist can live with purpose. He showed that success does not have to mean selfishness. He used his platform to build opportunities for others. He showed that movies can entertain but also inform, inspire, and provoke thought. His career is proof that Hollywood legends are not born. They are made through courage, vision, and persistence. It is worth saying again, Robert Redford did not just act in Hollywood. He changed it. Without him, independent cinema would not be what it is today. Without him, environmental activism in Hollywood would not carry the same force. Without him, the idea of an actor seamlessly becoming a respected director would not have the same inspiration. He was a bridge between the glamour of old Hollywood and the boldness of modern cinema. Even now, his films remain timeless. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is still one of the greatest buddy films ever made. All the President's Men remains a powerful reminder of journalism's importance in a democracy. Ordinary People continues to resonate with anyone who has faced loss or family conflict, and his influence through Sundance keeps independent film alive and thriving. As fans, we can take comfort in knowing that Robert Redford's story does not end with his death. His story lives on every time a young filmmaker gets their first film shown at Sundance. It lives on every time a viewer watches one of his classic films and feels moved. It lives on in the ongoing fight for a better environment, which he dedicated so much of his time to. Death may have taken him physically, but his presence is carved permanently into the heart of cinema. So when we talk about Robert Redford, we are not only talking about a man, we are talking about an idea. The idea that art can be powerful, that storytelling matters, that authenticity will always shine brighter than empty glamour. Hollywood is different because Robert Redford was part of it. And that is a legacy no passing of time can ever erase. And let me leave you with a thought. Robert Redford once said that the job of an artist is not to give answers, but to ask the right questions. That is exactly what he did throughout his career. He asked questions about love, justice, freedom, responsibility, and truth. He asked us to look at the world differently. And in doing so, he helped us understand it a little better. That is how legends are made. That is why Robert Redford will never truly be gone.